Hi, welcome back to class, and this week we are moving on to Module 8. We're doing things a little differently this week because of the fact that spring break is coming up next week, and so what we are going to do is not start a new discussion. We're going to have the questions actually take place in a Dropbox form, so you can go ahead and get that done, and there will be no responding to it because I really think it might be a stretch after waiting 9 days or so for some people to get back and start discussing something. So I'll have that broken up a little differently. This week we are moving on through the text, and this week we get into African Americans. And I know that due to some of the content we covered in the class, it's easy to think we were on this subject from the beginning. But part of the reason why it appears that way is because the bulk of the work with regards to race and ethnicity studies is done by African American scholars. And so as we move on through different ethnic groups, we're going to start focusing on contributions and experiences felt by individual groups. But what we discussed with African Americans here, like all the other groups, can be expanded to looking at the other groups as well. So, for example, when we speak about the double consciousness, that's something that can go on with any group. As we looked last week, we were looking at survivor syndrome, historic trauma, and a lot of the work and research in that is done with the Jewish Americans. A lot of Holocaust survivors really paved the way for studying that field. But other groups of people have went through major trauma, and we can apply those concepts across cultural and racial lines. So keep that in mind as we're studying groups of people and today's assignment. This week's assignment. So this week we're going to read Chapter 7, and this again focuses on African Americans. You're going to finish the Module 7 discussion, so you can, like I said before, log on 3 different days and post a discussion. There's an original recording with W.B. Du Bois. One of the nice things about sociology is we have a lot of recordings of some of the big thinkers. There will be a Dropbox assignment attached to that, and there will be 2 other Dropbox assignments. They're going to be called discussions in terms for grading, but you're going to have a pivot. So one major thing of sociology is the ideas of theorists people pivot with, and they get new ideas and they apply them in certain ways and reevaluate. And so you're going to watch a TED Talk discussing a pivot with Du Bois, and you're going to look at a modern discussion on the rebirth of the double consciousness. And so you'll notice you'll do that. And that will be a shorter response, only about half a page. And then there's going to be another Dropbox called Discussion 8.2, which will be worth 12 points. And that will be looking at the murder of Emmett Till. And Emmett Till is seen by many people as a major pivot in American history with regards to civil rights. And many people see his death and the trial that took place after that as the start of the civil rights movement. This is the thing that a lot of books, I think, kind of get wrong, is where they discuss the civil rights movement beginning with bus boycotts and with various actions in Birmingham, and that's a major area. However, the murder of Emmett Till was something that was publicly aired and discussed, and became it became part of the public national discussion, and with that, there's been a strong move towards looking at civil rights. And the important thing about this is, like I said, we can apply this to other groups of people. The death of Emmett Till started the civil rights movement with African Americans, but a lot of other people were involved in this. And as other groups decided to push for civil rights for themselves, they used the tactics of the African American civil rights movement. And so the groundbreaking was done by these folks. So the way I'm going to have this structured is I'm going to have different due dates. I want your discussion, your Module 7 discussion, done this week. The other drop boxes, the Du Bois drop box, and these other 2 drop boxes, I will give until the following Sunday after we return. So I do encourage you, because I know a lot of you have tests coming up after spring break, so I do encourage you to try to get these done early. However, if you don't, if you're leaving early for spring break or you're doing a service trip, you can go ahead and put this off until you return. But just keep in mind, you're going to have the 7 days from the end of spring break to get those completed. I will have those due dates put online. So, as we move down the assignments, this should make sense to you. This video is really just a bunch of pictures of Du Bois, so you don't have to really watch it. You could, because you get to see him and see some artwork that he inspired, but you're going to hear him speak in his own word. And I think every textbook on race and ethnicity, when we discuss African Americans, will discuss Du Bois. And here we go. We have Nicole Johnson talking about the rebirth of the double consciousness, and here again she is pivoting with a thought from Du Bois. So you're going to write just a half a page on this. You can do more, and I do encourage you to. And then lastly, this is about an hour-long documentary. It's discussing Emmett Till's death and the trial, and I want you to discuss that. Spend at least a page discussing this, and I want you to discuss on why this is seen by many as the start of the civil rights movement. Don't just say it was the start of the civil rights movement. Give some reason here. There's some great interviews, but it is something I want you to watch. I want you to see, all the videos I show. But this one is something that I said before, I think is overlooked by too many people. And now, Emmett Till is getting a little more discussion, but it's a very sad story, but also you get to see the people who were there and who were involved, and I think it's actually pretty uplifting, because you can see how much we have changed in some ways and progressed towards being somewhat better. And lastly, of course, we have the Chapter 7 quiz, and this too is due this week, so don't put this off. This will be your one thing that's due this week, and so will your discussion from last week. So finish that off, and like I said, you're just going to move on to doing your Dropbox assignments. If you have any questions, go ahead and get in touch with me. I will be spending spring break getting caught up on all my grading with all my classes, and I will be here to answer any questions you may have. So feel free to reach out. I will be on D2L every single day. Thank you.